Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. I am back on the Mule project. I got the little tractor done, and we're back on this thing. When last we talked, all I had in here I think was just the motor, and a bunch of you quite rightly pointed out that that input shaft of the transmission was unsupported and over time would likely lead to a catastrophic failure. At a minimum, it just end up cracking my transmission. So you're absolutely right, and I went ahead and I made a little support. I had to turn down a little collar that would slip over the input shaft, and then I had to turn down the outside of that so it would slip inside of this 1 1/8 inch flange bearing. Then I just made this little about 2 inches wide and 1/4 inch flat bar, just kind of bent that around some chunks of metal welded to the table, and then from there just made little brackets to mount it to. I bolted it down there on the ground. Probably didn't really need it, but it'll keep it from vibrating. It'll keep things from moving around. And this screw up here was just for locating purposes when I was putting this all together. But yeah, that's much better, and it's very good advice. Thank you. What else? I didn't even have a battery box in here, but I was looking at it, and I think I had mentioned that this box, which was in my Jeep Wrangler conversion, would just barely fit, but I was going to have to do a little bit of modification to get it in there, and as you can see, I had to cut this sort of seat frame out, starting back there, and I cut about 3/4 of an inch off of the front of this frame tube, and then all that stuff in there too. But width-wise, it fits perfect, and I guess lengthwise and width-wise, it fits perfect. I made some little brackets underneath of here. Let's see if I can show you them. Not really. Where's it on? Where's the bracket? I can't see any brackets. Sorry, I can't. Oh, there's one. That's one there. And there's one that's for the front. That's the back one, and it looks the same on this side. The one up here I actually have going inside that cross member, so it's all supported in, you know, carrying its own weight. This weighs about 250 pounds or so, and I don't plan on putting the seat box directly on it. I'm going to rebuild that frame to go around it. This here is an inverter, a 12-volt inverter. So you take your 12-volt battery and it turns it into 3,000 watts worth of 110-volt AC to run power tools and stuff. I would like to put an inverter in here. I don't know if I want to use this one though. This one I had just laying around, as pretty much everything else in this project, and I may use it just because of that. I'm going to put a 12-volt battery in here, and yeah, I might just use that, because you can get a 96-volt DC-DC converter, but not, sorry, 96-volt inverter, but they are a little bit expensive, and you know, I already have that one. On the side here, this is where all the exciting part of these are 4 Tesla batteries, 4 Tesla modules. Each one of these modules has 444 lithium ion cells. They are about the size of a AA battery, a little bit bigger. And then they're arranged in such a way that there are a whole bunch of those 144 in parallel, and then there's 6 blocks of those parallels, and those are wired in series. So that ends up being a 6S configuration. It makes about 24, 25 volts per module. You wire all these things in series. That's what those big bus bars do. And you end up with about 100 volts, 9600 volts, something like that. This gizmo here monitors each of those 6 cells in each of these 4 modules. So there's 24, 6 times 4. And it monitors them all, monitors their voltages. And if one of them is high, then it will take voltage from that battery and put it, or from that cell, and put it into one that's low. And that's how that works. And yeah, so that's what that is. This thing is fantastic. It's got a little Bluetooth thing on it. I'll see if I can put a screenshot up here. And basically that's showing all my cell voltages. The blue one is the lowest one, and the red one is high, and that's when it's taking amperage, it's taking voltage from the high one. That's how that is working. And come around this way. I wasn't going to put cooling in this. I wasn't going to cool these modules, they're not going to be under stress enough to really get heated up. And the only time you need to actively cool them, like with an air conditioning system, is if you're supercharging in the actual Tesla car. And I most definitely won't be doing that. But we'll get back to why it's got cooling in it. I ended up going with it. And I also drilled some holes in the back of that battery box so that I can get these cables out. I was pretty lucky that I could do that and have enough room to get in there, get a hole saw in there, and be able to kind of measure where they go and not have to take this battery box out again. Didn't want to have to do that. That's there. And then this is a battery disconnect. Most of the time I won't ever use this, but say in the winter time, it's going to be cold for a long time. I know I'm not going to drive this. Then I can just come up here and turn this off, and that will just isolate this battery from all of the components in this. So there's no little vampire drains or anything to slowly drain my battery over the winter. That is what that's going to do. Over here on the table, I've got a stack of components that needs to go in this thing. Here we got what's called a DC-DC converter. This takes the 100 volts from the main battery pack and steps it down to 13 volts to charge my 12-volt battery. It's kind of like an alternator. This here is called a shunt. When current flows through this gizmo right here measures how much current flows through it, and it counts your amp hours. So like your DeWalt battery has 4 amp hours or something. This particular battery has 225 amp hours. Well, this counts them. So every time I drive this Mule, I'll go ahead and zero this out, and when that gets to say 100, that means I'm halfway through my battery. This is just a cheapo state of charge meter. All it does is it measures the battery voltage and then determines the state of charge from that. It's not nearly as accurate as that, but it's a quick, kind of a first look, I guess. This, of course, is the fuse. This is a contactor, just a big relay. This is my throttle position, and this is just a 12-volt circuits, 12-volt fuses. This is the motor controller right here. And this is the reason why I decided to go ahead and do cooling. Now this does generate some heat. It takes the 96 volts from the battery pack and steps it to whatever voltage the motor needs based on however much foot I put down on that thing. So that does generate some heat. And it may not really need cool. I looked all through the manual here, and it doesn't actually suggest that you do cool it, which is a little bit ridiculous, but I'm going to do that. You can do it with an air-cooled, some aluminum fins there, or you can do it by water. And the way you do that is, this is an aluminum plate, just a 3/8" aluminum plate, and I'm going to machine these channels in it. I'll put a 3/4 hole here and here, and then I'm going to take a 3/4" end mill and go burr, 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 and then machine all that out. And that'll give me a little channel. And then here in this area right here, I'll put some RTV on there. And then when I bolt this down, it'll create a coolant leak-free seal, hopefully. And then on the back, where those 3/4" holes are, I'll either weld these little AN bungs or these barb fittings, depending on what I've got room for. And all of that is most likely going to mount right in here somewhere. All this other stuff, I need to make a box called a high voltage junction box. I need to make a box for all that stuff just to keep it out of the elements. This is all waterproof stuff, but it's a good idea just to keep it dry. And that is my 12-volt wiring harness. I'll need to put a 12-volt battery where the original 12-volt battery would have been, and like turn the key on and try and find my my key on ignition and see if there's any hot at all times 12-volt signals, because this doohickey is going to want that. It's actually very simple to wire. I say that, but it is actually pretty simple to wire. Yeah. So this is our little thing here. These here are the inputs over here. Really, all we use is a 12-volt on, key on 12-volt, and there's a couple outputs for a red LED if something goes wrong, a green LED to tell you it is on. There's input for your throttle, and that's really it. That's pretty simple. The battery terminals to the motor go here, and that's it. It's really quite simple. But I don't know. They've got a lot done over this last week. So next up is doing that chill plate and figuring out where that motor is going to live, running the high voltage cables to it, run the low voltage cables to it, and reconstructing that seat box. And man, as far as I can tell, that'll be basically it, and I can drive this thing out the garage. I need a new parking brake cable on one side, but I'll probably just get it for both of them. I need to put new CV joints, or actually drive shafts. That's what that is. Drive shafts in the front. CV boots are all messed up. I'm gonna make some plexiglass covers for that, for the sides of the battery box, so you can see all that coolness. And I don't know. I think that's about it. I want to put a 2-inch receiver hitch back here, just because all of my other stuff has 2-inch receiver hitches. That's going to be kind of a pain in the butt because they really welded that in there. But all right, guys, I think that's going to cover it for now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.